Today is January 15th, 2023. Today has been an oh my god. This has been an oh my god again. I found out who the second drug lord was. I had stopped at this one store on the way to work, and I was talking to this guy. He said that he adopted a child from one of the drug cartel girls. She had went to jail, and he found out about the child and didn't want that child in foster care, so he adopted him. And he said, well, you know the big drug cartel that was here? I said, yeah, I knew of them. He said, they busted a lot of it up. They were human trafficking people out this area. I said, I know that. I said my ex-husband was involved in them. He looked at me and started doing this. I said, well, it's a Mexican drug cartel, right? He's like, they may have helped out, but it wasn't them. And then he says the cartel that was doing it. The second drug lord. He's like, by the way, did you see a tall white man about our age, 50s, with whitish blonde hair, clean cut, around you, dressed nice? I went, well, yeah, several times. Why? He's like this. I said, are you okay? He's like, you don't know who that was, do you? I'm like, no. He's like, you're lucky he left you alive. He's like, you're lucky he left you alive. I told him about my ex-husband buying that girl from Japan. He's like, that guy would have had him killed for that. He said one day he would have just disappeared and never came back. I said, that's what's happened. He said, if he can't trust you, he will have you killed. He said, you didn't realize who was around you. And he said, he said, they hate Jews. I said, I know. I got called that stupid little Jewish girl, that stupid Hebrew girl, thinks she can tell on us what's happening here. I know that. He said, are you an acting Jew? And I said, no, just dissent. He said, well, it's different. And I said, my dad's dad was. And I don't even know if they were acting. They're just descendants of them. And then, a bunch of other different things. He said, they may not like you for that, but they hate active Jews. He said, but it's different. They don't hate you. They just don't like you. He said, that makes a big difference. Okay. I said, yeah, there was a lot of slang. He said, well, it's because it was the second drug lord. And he's kept holding his chest like this. I said, are you okay? He's like, I've had 2 strokes before. He's like, you don't realize you are so lucky he left you alive. And I told him, I said, well, my ex was in with the human traffickers. He's like, they broke a lot of that up here. And they got a lot of them arrested. I said, no, they did. He said, then, we had talked about that kid he adopted from where that one girl went to jail. Okay? All right. I told him about my ex-husband buying that girl from Japan. I said, I still cannot believe he bought a person. That's disgusting. And he said that guy would have him killed for that. He said he can't trust you if you do something like that. They have their own girls. So him going off on his own and buying somebody else, he said he would have him killed for that. Well, the men that was with him they were mad and they were griping around me. They called my ex-husband an ass, an asshole, and an arrogant ass. Okay? And how disgusting they thought it was, him trying to have his wife killed because he was dating an 18-year-old. And they found him disgusting for it. You don't just have your wife killed because you're dating an 18-year-old. Okay? And they called him filthy names, and they didn't like him. But that guy being around me, I'm not stupid. But because I've seen him several times, I thought he was a cop. I didn't know he was a drug lord. They're not wearing name tags of, hi, good guy, bad guy. You know, unless they confess their crimes around me, and then I had undercover cops around me that the Canton police did identify as police officers. Okay? Like Officer Mark, Officer John, okay? And a couple of the others, okay? And they did call them cops, right? So this guy showing up in nice dress shirts, clean cut. I thought he was a cop. I'm sorry. He didn't have a badge saying drug lord. The cops seen him. He was a second drug lord. Okay? The second human trafficker. And like the guy said, the Mexican drug cartel could have helped him out, but they weren't the ones doing it. It was the other cartel. And that's who was human trafficking out of this area. Well, you got to think it had to be equivalent to the fentanyl gang. Because they were fighting over this area. Iraqi terrorist, dark web, malware, U.S. military, translator, Iraqi. Okay, fentanyl gang. And he was fighting it out with the other drug lord for over this area. I was the one they were using as a pawn. Now, I sort of sent it into the sheriff's and the police and the prosecutor's office. Okay? And how to get a hold of that guy. And I'll tell you what, my car's booked by the police. So they already got it recorded, him saying it. Now, we're going to put it that way. FBI informant, if people forgot. And then we're going to look at each other, Will. I haven't met you yet. I am 56 years old. I was 51 when it started. And you left me to those drug lords. And the second one is, oh my God. I'm not 20, I'm not 30. I'm a little old lady. And you left me to those drug lords that were running scams on people. Now, we're going to put it this way. They have impersonated, I found out, even a doctor from Altman Hospital with fake credentials. Well, that would make sense. Because in Ravenna in 19, they were talking about they had fake paperwork to make it look official. It wasn't true about her, get rid of it. Okay? Guy that wrote it up didn't like her. But how could you not like me? You don't even know me. You know what I mean? Well, and they had told, that's where that agent on a recorded line, when he's laughing at me that if I didn't know about Pete, I bet you don't know about this doctor, da-da-da-da. No. What are you talking about? And to find out, it was a made-up doctor. They were talking December 31st, 23, Altman emergency room, nurses in the police, and they were talking about it outside my client's room, in the emergency room. They'd still have the tape of it. And then whatever cop recorded for the day. Medical malpractice that made me sick before. And they had somebody impersonate a doctor. See, I didn't know. Because the guy wasn't real. He was impersonating, running a scam. See, then it comes down to, and we're going to listen. This is how stupid it is. That agent even fallen for any of that. Because the right to privacy. Police officers, doctors, nurses, they sign an oath that gives them their license. They break that oath, they lose their license, and they can go to jail. Your medical records are your own. It's none of the government's business what your medical records are. For them to actually be released into a court they have to be under a judge's order in a trial. And that's the only way they can get them to testify, because they're sworn to protect you, your privacy, and only treat you. So now, with that, with the HIPAA and the right to privacy, and they're bound by their license and oath, how could one of my doctors testify against me? They couldn't without losing their license and going to jail. Right? So where that agent on a recorded line said, well, if you say you don't know about Pete, I didn't even know who Pete was. The only Pete I knew was my brother in Medina. So think about that. That you're going to say you don't know about Dr. So da 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 da. No, who is that? I don't know what you're talking about. He's laughing at me. It's because it was some guy impersonating him. That's where they, even last Tuesday in the mall, boy, the man that did this, set that agent up to, so it looked like he was stealing in front of everyone. He really set him up. We looked it up. That guy wasn't even a doctor. And they said they were going to testify in court against her. What are we going to say? I'll be like one of the cops telling those people off. You're going to say you're one of those doctors that falsely diagnosed her? She swelled up great big and she was dying and nobody would say a word? And everything quit working, and it took another doctor telling them that they were ripping her insurance off, making her sick and wanting to do unnecessary procedures, that you almost killed her? You're going to say you're one of those doctors? Because his medical malpractice is called overcare. It actually has a name for it, where your insurance company is basically a blank checkbook for those doctors. They're not honest to write out wrong prescriptions, make you sick, keep coming back in, share you with their associates, wanting to do unnecessary procedures on you. And they can rip you off blind. They almost killed me. See, that's where even one of the officers yelled at him. You want to say you're one of those doctors that almost killed her? And that we're ripping off? It's documented medical malpractice. Documented medication error. 2002. So it would be, like they said at Altman Hospital, no one's to ever back those doctors and anything that they said before, because they were lying so bad they even said she had brain tumors. My God. Had brain swelling. Brain swelling would have caused a lot of the symptoms. And it was caused by the wrong medication. Made my heart get off, my thyroid, adrenal gland quit working, and my whole body swelled up. I almost died. It took me 9 months to slowly get well. See, that's where he said something. Some man walks in and tries to say he's a doctor, breaking HIPAA rights and right to privacy over his license. He was to arrest him and have the state board pull his license. Just like Pete, he was to arrest Pete for sextortion, admitting to stalking, drugging someone to get the truth out of him. In a sextortion scheme. Like they said, at the very least, they should have went to jail for sextortion. The right to privacy over your home. You also have a right to remain quiet and a right to attorney. Even the FBI go jail being in your home outside a protected light case with statements. It's entrapment if they do it. Otherwise, it's sextortion. It's speaking Tom papers. That everything's digital and can be altered. And date rape drugs, you're sleepwalking. Now, that's where they were talking last week in Belden on Tuesday, that the guy that did this set that agent up big time. And what was he thinking? See, that's where a lot of the cops, what was that agent thinking? Even falling for that minister's lies of her faking being sick. It was only him lying. And he made it up, and he has a low IQ, and he's a minister, not a doctor. And he's the one that made up that lie. How could that agent fall for that minister's lies? See, that's where, is Will going to say he did all this to get the drug lords? That he's really not that stupid and that corrupt? Everybody turn this in. Turn it in. Seriously. FBI informant. All my money has been embezzled by that agent. I never got a dime, and I got left there. And he confessed he talked to everyone before he talked to me. And made fun of me, how I was being framed and all this other stuff. And they're going to say he's the biggest fool on this earth and fell for everything in the world. Or was he just playing everybody? Because you need to start thinking, if he's honestly that corrupt, That's scary that a higher police officer is that corrupt. Or that big of a fool. He better be saying he did all this just to get the drug dealers. Like my money, a new name. And like the Tuscarora sheriff said over a year ago, the FBI needs to get you out of here. I should have been got out of here 5 years ago. I should have been hid. This is insane.